Morning everyone, good morning. We're just putting a little video together to explain to you all about drawing techniques and paper size, etc. before you do your task today. So our learning intention is to learn how to use pencils and the appropriate paper for each different task. Enjoy. Hi guys, just going to talk to you a little bit about the types of pencils. So you might not know, but every type of pencil that you use will be different. So I've got my selection of pencils here, and they all have a different purpose. So generally in art, we'll be using a pencil called a HB. Now on the end of each of your pencils, you can see the letters H and B. They all are different sorts of pencils. So a HB is a really good drawing pencil, but then the HB goes up. So the B doesn't change, it just goes H, B, 2B, 4B, 6B, 8B, and you can even get 10Bs. And that the higher the number, the darker the pencil. That's all you really need to know. You can also get a pencil called a 2H. You can see there, it's just a little bit different. Can you see it? 2H, okay? Now a 2H pencil is better for a technical drawing. So drawing fine lines, when you draw houses or buildings, etc. So we're not going to use 2Hs in art at this stage. Maybe if we do some technical drawing later on, but at this stage we're going to focus on our sketching, and that is using a HB or a 2B pencil. Okay, the next thing I will show you is how the pencils, how darker the pencils can become. So I'm just going to get out my B pencils and show you. So I've got a HB, a 2B, a 4B, an 8B, just looking for a 6 and a 6B. HB, I'm using a HB pencil. HB is that light. Okay, is a 2B. Now the darker your pencil, the harder it is to rub out too. Okay, if you can see how dark that one is, that's a 2B. Then you've got a 4B. Then you've got a 6B. And then you've got an 8B. So they're lots darker. You can see there how much darker they get. All right, so that's a little bit about the pencil leads and what we're using. So in art, we're going to use a HB or a 2B. So the HB pencils are the black pencils with the blue tips, which we have in the pencil caddies. So they're the pencils we're going to use today. The next thing you have to learn about is the type of paper you use. Now this is really thin paper. This is photocopy paper, really thin, and it's measured in GSM. I'm not quite sure what the numbers are, but this is really thin paper, which we can use for planning and things like that. Then we go to a nice sketching paper, and you can hear how thick that is. That's a lot thicker. And that's the sort of paper you've got in your sketchbook. So that's the sort of paper we'll be using today. And then the next one up is a watercolour paper. Now watercolour paper comes in lots of different thicknesses. And you can see the lines on watercolour paper. That's so it can absorb and take up the water. We don't need to use watercolour paper. That would just be a waste. It's beautiful to draw on, but it would just be a waste. So we're going to use just the cartridge paper today. Okay? That's all I need to tell you about paper. We're going to look at how you hold the pencil. We've talked about sketchy hand. This is Newman and myself over the past week. And we've talked about how you hold your pencil. So if you can see, my pencil to the page is on an angle, okay? It's on about a 45-degree angle, okay? My hand to the page, imagine that was a square, okay? The edge of a piece of paper, a square, corner is 90 degrees. So half of that is 45 degrees. And that's how you hold your pencil when you're sketching. So you're using the edge of the pencil. So first of all, just making marks, you're just going to use your edge of your pencil until you find that special spot. Sometimes it takes a while to get the spot on the pencil just right. And when you've found the spot, you should be able to use your pencil like that. All right, so once you've found your spot, you're going to start off nice and light. And then adding more pressure, we're going to make that darker and darker and darker, just by pushing harder. You can go lighter at the top too. All right, that's often people make whirlwinds like that. You make them darker and darker. But again, using the edge of your pencil, not the tip of your pencil. Okay, that's one thing you can do with your pencil. Another way of making a mark, have a little play with that, make some whirlybirds and try and make your pencil get darker. I want you to take note of art. We're using HB and 2B pencils. Alright, so just write that on your page somewhere. Then having a go, just finding that spot and making it lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter. See how many colours you can get out of it. Alright, last year we had a go at drawing a sphere, some of you might remember. So we're going to do the same again today. So just turning your page, keeping that same dome shape. You can make a dome, not dome, sorry, a little arch, and all of your arches are joining up. Because if you do your hand like that, it's always the same angle. So you can make a near perfect circle just by turning your page around and doing the same arch. Okay? And when we're looking at shading, we have to look at our picture and think, where is the sun coming from? I like to always put an arrow in the direction of the sun so you know. So if that's the sun coming from that direction, there will be a shadow on this side of our sphere. Okay? So just pause now for have a little think about the natural light in the room and have a little chat about the natural light. So when okay, so now you know where the sun's coming from and how the light affects your picture. If the sun is shining on that side of the ball, then the opposite side of the ball will be darker. So you start at the darkest spot. I like to turn mine around and start on the darkest side. Now you need to use the same action as you did with drawing your sphere. So you're drawing it with that archy shape. If you did lines straight across, it wouldn't look like a ball. So you have to make your lines come around like a ball does. You keep coming around. Some of you might remember to that last year doing this, which is great, so you'll have a bit more experience. Others might not have been here. But we did the same thing when we did introduce watercolour as well, so you might be able to remember that as well. But slowly coming up your sphere and adding a bit more darkness as you come up. Now we can go back and make that side darker if we want to. All right, but you have to just keep coming around, thinking about where the light's shining. The light's shining all over here, so there's not going to have much darkness on that side of the ball. And you go back to next to nothing, making that dark on that side. Still using the side of my pencil, not the point of my pencil. Now I'm going to try and make this edge really dark. The darker that is, the more effective the ball will look. Okay, then at the end, you just want to draw a little shadow on the ground that will be cast. And when you do a shadow, don't let it touch the actual ball. Leave a little tiny space of white, and that makes it more effective. Now the length of the shadow will be the length of the ball. If the sun was right down here, it will be the exact length. So that's how sort of far you need to draw that shadow. Now remember, if it's sitting on a table, obviously the shadow can't go too far below it. And then it makes it look a bit more like it's a real ball. So that's what you're going to have a go at doing now.